Normally at this point, I would be up to my neck in cardboard and I would be making boxes and I'd be making the layout and stuff. Well, I've chose to go a different route because that Loch Venator trip inspired me to see if I could build my van completely in VR. So this is basically going to go round about there, just as a rough guide where it's going to be. I wasn't far off of the measurements, but again, this is just the foundation of what I'm going to go with. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I've no long get back from Loch Venator where we had the Halloween episode where I was getting attacked by zombies, if you see it here. Oh, drop the f***ing... Oh Jesus, there's two of them! Oh! Ah! Done! Ah, jeez! Gun, wait! And in that video, as you can see, there was just no build in it. I was sleeping on the floor, there was stuff everywhere, and just enjoying the no van build process. After that night, it made me realise that I hated it. The electrics weren't wired in, so I had no diesel heater. I do have lights, but that's it. So I think what I'm going to do is just crack on with the build. And not just that, Rick's coming up in March. I don't want to leave it too late and then the build's no the way I want it. I want to enjoy the trip. However, I will admit, the Loch Venator no build trip did inspire me because normally at this point I would be up to my neck in cardboard and I would be making boxes and I'd be making the layout and stuff. Well, I've chose to go a different route because that Loch Venator trip inspired me to see if I could build my van completely in VR. Let's see if we can. Because it worked when we were mapping out the area outside for the zombies and stuff, and there's an app where basically you can map the environment of your room, in this case it'll be the van, and then you can turn on pass-through, which means you can see the environment that you're in. Whatever you draw and create in that space will always be in this space, so even if I put this on and I walk out there, it won't be anywhere, but if I come back, it will always be within this space. And the other reason why I want to do it this way as well, to get a better visual representation of where and how the layout's going to look without all the cardboard mess, running out of cardboard. And I think overall it's just going to be a lot quicker to get results with this than it is with cardboard. So before we put the VR on and start doing all the fun stuff, I'm going to cover what my requirements are this time round for this build because I have had a think. And these are the requirements. So the way that I've broke up my requirements is I've got the main requirements and additional requirements which can be negotiated or can be manipulated or can be just let go entirely. But the main requirements are non-negotiable and this is what they are. So the fridge, the toilet and the power station, they need to have their own permanent space and they need to be easily accessible. With regards to the power station, I do need a wee bit of wiggle room just in case I grow and I get a bigger power station. And for the fridge, this is a C15 Alpicool. There is plenty of space in there for this micro camper. I wanted to make sure that it was big enough but still small enough for a micro camper, and this more than does the job. So for this I'm thinking about putting it on runners. So to get it out you would need to push it back a bit and then it'll come out, and then to put it back it'll lock back in again. So the main requirement for build number 2 is I want to be able to do the toilet in under 10 seconds. If you remember before, I had to go and pull the other one out, fold it up, move cushions and then set the toilet up. So for the toilet I'll either put it under the bed or I'll put it in storage and then you lift the lid up, and again we'll see how we map it out with the VR. So the fridge, the power station and the toilet are my main priority, main requirements of this van build, to have their own space but easily accessible. So as you can see, the floor is now a complete single floor. Normally you could move up and down this wee bit and your feet could go down, but now it's completely sealed off and it's storage now that's under there. Got the trapdoors there and there, so the diesel heater's under there, that can't go anywhere, that needs to stay where it is. Under this one is just stuff that's under the driver's seat, you know, like stuff to change the tyre and stuff like that, so we do still need access to it. So the way that the bed was the last time is the bed came all the way up to the driver's seat, then I brought the box round here. So obviously we can't do that now because we do need access to that trapdoor, but I do have an idea for that where we can still use it as a bed, but then we can also use it for access and for the trapdoor. And I do have another reason why I need those trapdoors flat and accessible, but I'll get to that. If you remember with my electrics, I had the fuse box here. I want to put it all there now. Box all this in, kind of the way it was the last time, with the fuse panel, the charger one set up, and bringing the diesel heater air duct coming through out the bed somewhere. So that's where I want to put the electrics in. Hopefully I can get away with it. Now I know what you're going to say though. You're going to be like, Robert, it's just close to the original design, but with a few tweaks, and I think that's all you're going to get in a small camper like this. You're not going to be able to do massive layouts. I did look at the rock and roll bed, but we'd have lost too much space. We need to try and adapt what we had before, and that is what I'm trying to do just now. So there's two last negotiable requirements, and the first one is the sink. This time round I wasn't going to put a sink in Dobby because I felt like I didn't really use it as much. However, then Boxio sent me out their sink, which has basically put my plans up in the air, because if I'm being honest, I love this sink. At the back of Dobby you've got this big bit here, and if I bring up the Boxio to sit roughly about here and to allow access to change the lights, the sink could go there. And then the final requirement, which I feel should be in the other requirements of the main, I'm going to change up the back of the van. So I'm trying to mirror how the old van used to look. This would have been the bed, and this would have been the worktop, and this was the wee walkway to get out the back door. So now what I'm proposing is the bed is going to be the exact same width as what it was before, but I'm going to raise the height just a small touch. With that space, I'm going to fill it in as another seating area. This is going to be like a big L shape going all the way around, which may be the place that I can slide the toilet up under the bed. So if I've got an L-shaped position here, I can then slide the fridge out on runners, slide it back in, I've got the floor again. So having this seating position change gives me a lot easier access to having the toilet from underneath me, bringing the fridge out from the side, and also probably the biggest reason of all, I can stretch my legs out. Being able to do this is just a game changer for me. So this is what we're working with. So as you can see, we can draw, but the problem is we don't have the van, so we need to go to environment and go through pass through, and now you can see the van, and as you can see we are able to draw. We can grab this box, we can put it there, but we can also lock it. You'll see the big pin, so that means that we can't move it. This is what I love about VR. You feel like you're Iron Man, look at that. We can stretch it out. Let's get started. So I've brought the Trolino in, and the Trolino's bigger than the fridge, but the Bluetti is bigger than the fridge. It's about an inch maybe bigger. In that area there, between the two trapdoors, I wanted that to be the electrics for where the power station goes, but now that I see that that's too big, I don't know if we're going to get away with that. We'll go by the Trolino first. So I do know that I want the length to go between here. So if I put it there, because obviously I want to be able to open the trapdoor as well. We'll match the height with the Trolino, and obviously a wee bit more because it needs to slide under. And as you can see, it isn't any more higher than what it was before, but it's definitely going to get the toilet underneath it, and I'm happy with a snug fit. Let's get the length now. So if we pull it out, I will bring it back a bit. I mean, this doesn't have to be exact, doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just to get a rough idea. So we've got the height, we've got the length. What I'm going to do is get the width now. The bed, if I'm right in thinking, came out roughly to this point here. So I'm going to bring the seating bit all the way out, and we'll line it back up again. So as you can see, all we want to do is just bring it out this way. So that's a bit too much. And because we do have these grid lines, we can kind of gauge how far to go. Aye, that'll do it. Let's get the length back. Maybe a square. Aye, probably about there. As you can see, I can just willy-nilly throw this about. You can actually turn on grid snapping. You can turn them on, and then you see it's just a lot more snappy to get it in place like that. And you obviously can make it more finer as well, but I like turning these off. So the main thing that I want to do is get this squared up here. Do you know what? I'm happy with that. That's the seated area. So if you do remember for the last build, it basically just looks the same. The bed might go further back because we are going to have all that space there to sit on. So it might not come out as far as this, but again, it's just something to work with just now. So next up, as I said, I do want to have a seating here, like an L shape. So let's get another mesh up. Get my cube. Again, I'm just loosely doing this. Like, you could learn how to snap it all together and stuff like that, but again, I'm just winging it. We'll stretch it all the way to the end, and then bring the height up. We'll bring the seat out a bit. Need to drop that down a bit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the toilet just to act as a guide. I am happy with that. So what I'm thinking is basically the toilet will sit under this part of the bench and then can basically slide out, and then if you look above, you can see that fits in very nicely. So if I sit here with the bed there, I can, so you'll see if I sit here with the bed there, I can still put my legs out, and that was one of the big things as well. I want to be able to stretch my legs. Being able to sit here, I can see all the windows. Aye. I think the next part is how wide do I want to make the kitchen area slash worktop area. I think with this wee bit here, this is where the box heel sink's going to go, so I might go and get that once we map this out a wee bit. So let's get another cube, take this out the way. Honestly, I love using this. I feel like I'm Iron Man. See, when you're drawing this in VR, you feel like you're actually bumping into this stuff. I think the last worktop came to about here. Let's get the length first. So if I put it here, there's still room to get out there. I can still access the diesel heater. There's still a nice wee bit of area here that's just got nothing on it. Aye, so let's bring the height up of this. So obviously the height's going to be a wee bit higher. I'm going to bring the height up to just above this lip because this did support the worktop the last time. So let's try that again. Straighten up a bit more. It is obviously longer there, but we'll get up and have a feel. How quick is this though? Like, we've already done the bed, the L shape, and now we're on this part here. So if I'm sitting here, and I can obviously lean against the back door, this is all going to be cushioned. The swivel table will come up, swivel table come round. You've got a nice wee armrest. We've still got plenty of space to do the toilet, get in and out and stuff. So a bit there. So we do still have plenty of space. Can lean on it, cook on it. We can wash our hands. Storage. I guess we could put another drawer in. So the thing is I did have obviously the boxed element up there with the storage and the diesel heater ducting coming in and stuff. And again, where's all the cardboard? Where's the mess? It's all done in this. So if you can master being able to use this, and I've only used this app like 3 times, I honestly don't get why nobody else is doing this. So this is what I'm thinking. So the bed is kind of like the same as it was before. Now because we've got that trap door over there, we can't bring the bed all the way up to the back of the chair. So I think what I'm going to do is at the end of the bed, I'm going to make like basically a flap, and then that will come up, and I'm just going to have a permanent cushion on it because I'm trying to think of how the bed's going to get made. So the hinge would come up at the back, and if I do build that box there, then that'll become part of the bed as well. But if that power station's there, that's not going to work, because then when you're lying here, your legs would be slightly raised. I'm thinking that the power station might need to go in here, which I don't want to do because I was wanting to keep everything over there. But at the same time, I'm thinking the fridge could go under and then slide out, because I do want the electrics to go there. I don't want it maybe here again. I think I'm going to go and get the fridge, and we'll put the fridge in and see how it looks. So I've got the fridge, let's get this into position. That's fitting quite nicely in there. The fridge comes out, and then to get in is just as simple as that. And it's easy just to put back in. Do you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to take the power station, I'm going to put it there just now. Let's put you over here. So if the power station was going to go here, we'd still be able to access all the features, box this off and maybe make a wee vent for air. For the wires, they would just come up through under there again and maybe come round here. Let's get it marked up now to basically see the lines. Where's the straight edge? As you can see, it's going to be nice and straight. Draw that out. Look how quick this is. And then get the floor, and then get here. I'm basically drawing this very crudely, but very quickly. I mean, we don't really need to do a floor, but we'll try and put a floor in at the bottom here. Have a look at this through my eyes. Check that. We now have the worktop and the kitchen area. We've got the L shape with the toilet. We've got the fridge in place. How cool is that? So let's see for this area over at the power station. It's funny, I went to lean on the kitchen there. How cool is that? Literally just mocked it up like that. And the cool thing is we can actually turn off the grid lines as well. So if we get the grid, go to guides, turn it off, and now we can see it as how it's going to look. This only took me roughly maybe half an hour, compared to getting boxes for the shop, trying to set the boxes up, cutting the heights. And then the problem with the cardboard boxes is you can't sit on the cardboard box. It saves you cutting wood. No mess, just a headset, a free app. And because I said the things that matter to me are the fridge, the toilet and the power station placement. So if we look at the fridge, for instance, straight away I already see how much extra space I've got in this part of the bed. Could I put stuff up the side there? Maybe bring the fridge up to about here so it's nice and flush. Put a divider here and use that space from the side door to put stuff in, like a brolly or something like that. With this storage here, I guess we could section this part off to about here and then there. So then that's that one unit. And then in here, we could maybe have that there. We could have something here, which is basically a wee slide out drawer. And then at the back here, we could have it so we need to get access from the back. Or we could make it so that you can get out this way and we just put 2 lids so we can lift the mattress up and get in to each of them. But this is what this VR's doing. We can basically sit and do all of this in the fly. So if I'm sitting going, do you know what, I don't like how much this bed is, then we can just unlock it and then just make it shorter and put it there. Now we've got more space. But if you make a mistake and you're not happy and you're like, oh no, I like the original, you just basically press the back button and it puts it back again to where it was. If I'm like, I like this as a base to start from, all I need to do is go down to the bottom and go to save sketch, and that will save this. So anytime you feel the sketch is getting out of hand or you liked what you had before, all you need to do is go back into Sketchbook and load this, and then you can start from here again. But obviously the more you progress, you can save as, and you can rename it and you can name it something else. So you're always going to be able to come back to here. If you were doing this with cardboard boxes or wood and you make any changes to this, you might run out of boxes, you're going to create a mess, but you're never going to get it back to the original way that you had it. VR is enabling us to do that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep messing about with it, changing the angles and see what we come up with. Say a handle's going to go there, hole's going to go there. So then I'm like, right, so if I lift that up, then I can get in there. If I lift that up, I can get in there. And the power of VR as well isn't just in framing it, you can actually colour it in as well. So say for instance, we want to use the Bluetti as an example. The Bluetti's going here. So let's draw a crude door, right? So let's say the power station's going to go here, by here, by here. Obviously it's a lot bigger. Turn the brush up and we can now go in and paint, and because of the lines it means we're not going to go outside the lines when we're colouring it in, which will keep it nice and neat. I've just painted the inside of my van. Let's go back to the colours and we'll add that as a colour. So let's add black. Do we put a drawer back in? So let's bring that down. So we'll do it there, bring it along, draw a wee handle, there we are. I've just drew a drawer in the van. Let's sit here and look at it. So now we're sitting on the bed, looking over here, and now we can see exactly how the build's going to look. Like, how crazy is that? So let's draw the sink in. Let's make it a different shade just to differentiate it. So obviously I'm not going to colour my van like this, but you get the idea. There we go. So let's go back to the black. You need to remember this worktop is going to go all the way to the end here, and this is going to go further up here, and then the sink again is going to go further in, but we'll just do it as an example. And there. And the sink is black, so we will colour it in. So then make the wee circle there, and then when we're going to use the sink, all we do is just pull it up like that. Let's sit over here. Look at that. So your power station there, you've got the toilet there, and then you've got these 2 lids that can come up, or we can choose that. Put that there, so then we can go, right, that would slide out that way. How cool is that? And how simple is that to do? I'm just blown away by that. So we basically have a drawer, can get the power, we can pull the toilet out, we can pull the sink up, we've got a space there for cooking. We could even put another wee table that flips up at the side, so then, you know, as a quick mock-up, just kind of draw it in. And then if you want a visual representation of what this is doing, you could basically just draw an arrow like that, signifying that that goes down and up, and that's going to stay there. you can turn the layers on and off. So if you're not sure about that, you go, I don't know, let's turn that off, but let's create a new layer, and then we'll do the exact same thing. So you can basically go layer to layer and changing everything. It's just amazing. So I've saved the old sketch and I started a new one, and I think I've come up with a layout that might be the one to go with. So again, this layout is very bare bones, but again, it gets the point across. As you can see, the bed has gotten a lot thinner, and I think that's actually closer to what it was in the previous build. And again, you can see the fridges get plenty of space. We can still access it for the side door if we want to do that. But again, this is just the foundation of what I'm going to go with. And with the toilet, you can see it's going to sit nice and flush in this area here, and with the kitchen and worktop area, you have noticed it's a lot more shorter. I'm still debating whether to bring it up to this line here, but what I do know is the power station's going to be going there. The box seal sink will go in there, so again, that will just be framed up and it will sit nice and neat. And then as you can see, we still do have a nice wee bit of space in there. Again, I could make a wee cubby hole here, just sectioning this off, and as you can see here, we can still use that for a drawer if we section this part. So with this wee bit of space, check this out, we have a space for the air fryer. Check that out. So we'll drag that down, check that out. The fridge would slide out and then slide back in, and then if we wanted the air fryer, that just slides out as well. How cool is that? Just slides back in. We could just put like a bungee cord so that that doesn't slide about or anything. But look at what VR is enabling us today. We're able just to do this stuff on the fly. So this box is going to go up, and we're going to make it come down here along and then straight along and then back up in like a U shape, so we can still access the handbrake. And what I'm going to do is bring up the diesel heater ducting either through this part of the floor and then bring it out here, and then have all the electrics in there with the charger one, the fuse box. I want to keep the diesel heater ducting separate, so that would be the ducting. So because of the pass-through capabilities of the MetaQuest, we can use a measuring tape. So if we're happy with the layout, we can basically see from the wheel arch to that line. Now let's check the height. So roughly about 22 inches. And then from this line here, from there, do you know what, let's call it 35 inches. We now know this is 35 inches long, 22 inches high, and 10 inches wide from the wheel arch. But then we've only measured it from the wheel arch, because you need to remember it's going to be going all the way into here. So let's measure in here. So if we go all the way over to the window, it's roughly about 17 inches. But that's the power of this VR. You can just get in and just check all your measurements before you cut anything, because you've got a visual representation of what it looks like. And this is just the same as using cardboard, except it's cleaner, easier, and you can change the measurements at will. And the beauty of it is, if you've got stuff that you want to prioritise for your build, you can put it in place and then you see if it fits. If it doesn't, pull the grid till it fits, make it shorter, make it bigger. If you're not happy with it, start again. You're not losing anything. So say you've got your measurements. Again, I'm not left-handed. So you know the length is 35 inches. You're never going to forget the measurements. So you can just put the headset on and go, oh, what was that again? Oh, so it's 22 inches in height, 35 inches long, 17 inches wide. But if you wanted to get fancy with it, you could go into the selection tool and highlight all of it like that, and now you can basically move it wherever you want it. So you can put it down if you want a better visual representation. You can actually make it smaller. Look at that. This is the power of building your van in VR. How cool is that? We just mapped out my van build. This thing is the future for van building. I don't care what anybody says. Let me just put it into context. With every sponsor that I've received on the channel in the past 5 months, I've kept the box, I've flat packed it, stored it, and now it's getting to a point where all the cardboard is just getting out of hand. And the only reason why I kept it was so that I could map the new build. I haven't pulled one piece of cardboard out to measure it anywhere in this van because of this. This isn't even the top of the range MetaQuest one, this is the 3S. I actually downgraded from the 3 to this one just because I don't get motion sickness with this. My eyes might look a wee bit like Doug's balls because I've dried out, but I never get motion sickness. You literally saw this van at the start of this video has nothing in it, and I've mapped out a layout, and then I brought in the stuff that I said was my priority, like the toilet, the sink, the fridge, the power station, and I put them all in a place and I readjusted the layout based on them. And then I showed, because this is pass through and you can see, I could literally measure where the lines were. Now obviously, granted, the lines aren't going to be perfect, it might be off, it might have not been straight and stuff, so you can basically make a box of those measurements and it's going to fit in this van. If you're thinking about starting your build, in the middle of your build, or don't even know how to start your build, this by far is the cleanest option, easiest option, and the less hassle option. So guys, that's going to cover it for this episode. If you did go and enjoy the episode, drop it a wee like and let me know in the comments, and let me know your thoughts on using VR for a van build. Would you do it yourself? And if you haven't already, why not get subscribed and hit that bell notification so you're always notified when I drop a new video. So guys, until the next episode, peace. But before you go, I'm going to show you how it turned out from using the VR to the actual build. Check this out.